Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a good day today. Very beautiful and sunny out today. I hope the weather is good there as well. And today in this episode, I would like to talk about the universal concept, so-called UBI, the Universal Basic Income. So what is that? What does it mean? What are the interpretations behind it? Is it good for us? Is it bad for us? All of these things we're going to clarify today in this video. And as always, before I proceed onto those types of questions, be it philosophical or linguistic or any other topics, I first like to define the meaning and the concept of that, and then we will proceed on to the further questions and encounter them throughout the video. So I guess I'll just start off right away by saying that this is a subject that is economically relevant to us all, and especially after the COVID years, as some of you might have seen or actually have experienced, getting a few stimulus checks and a few, I guess, universal basic income. Maybe you were part of some experiment of that universal basic income, so maybe you can also share your experience in the comment section down below. And the definition of the UBI is basically that it suggests that the government regularly gives, so per month or per quarter maybe, depending on what their conditions are, regularly give every adult citizen a set amount of money, typically without any conditions related to wealth or employment or status or background, whatever. So regardless of your background, regardless of where you come from, how much money you earn, you're going to get the same amount of money like everyone else will. So for example, $1,000 a month, you will get $1,000 amount per month regardless. Nobody cares really how much you earn or what you need or if you even need that money, etc., etc. So this is the definition of the universal basic income, and this concept, this philosophical concept, is called universalism. And this universalism philosophy is actually not really new. It's been already around since, I would say, around the ancient times, especially, for example, since the Romans. There's one example where the Caesar, Julius Caesar, used to hand out 100 denarii per ordinary citizen as a way to prevent poverty, for example. And that is essentially kind of the idea. If you want to ask the next question, what does the universal basic income mean, or what does it do exactly? What's the idea behind it? In short, the idea is basically to support everyone's needs and wants, and to take anti-poverty measures to ensure that there is no poverty, and to also ensure that there is no revolution in case the economy becomes very bad, in case people are no longer able to afford bread and food in general, and they, especially the dictators, or for that matter any leader, doesn't have to be a dictator necessarily, they want to simply ensure that everyone has enough money and everyone is happy and satisfied. This is kind of the utopian economic philosophy, I would call, in that sense. So whether it is actually utopian or not, we will get to that later. But I kind of want to get down to the root issue, or the root cause of that issue, of the universal basic income. So there are a few questions I would like to discuss. The first question is, if we were to actually get universal basic income, so if we were to get, for example, $2,000 a month per person, regardless, if you're rich or if you're poor or if you're middle class, whatever it may be, the first question that a lot of people ask themselves is, would people be motivated to go to work if they had enough money to survive? So, depending on which country you live in, if you live in Germany or if you live in Brazil or in Venezuela or in Russia or in Ukraine or whatever it may be, depending on how much money you earn, maybe it is already sufficient to not go to work, but maybe it also not sufficient to not be able to go to work, that meaning that you have to go to work. So there's also a question of whether or not you will still have the intrinsic motivation to go to work. Now, my idea or my assumption is that a lot of people will still go to work because they still want to be able to earn money. They still feel like they have the need and the urge to go out and to work and achieve things and to find some purpose and meaning in life. Because if you were to just, be able to sit home and get your check every month, regardless of, whether you work or not, I think overall people are not that, let's say, that's lossful enough to not be able to go to work the moment they get some stimulus check. And besides, I think the universal basic income is not gonna be something of the value or amount of like tens of thousands of dollars that you're gonna be getting per month. So even if there was a country, a political entity that were to say that, yeah, we will give you X, Y, and Z amount of money per month, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be more than maybe 1,000 or two per month as a way to still make people go to work, because the economy cannot function without people not being able to go to work. So I don't think the government is that stupid. Well, governments are stupid overall, I would say. I think we can all agree on that. But overall, I think the governments are not that stupid to the degree where they just start handing out tens of thousands of dollars or even more to people just like that for no reason. So that's the first conundrum that we face here, whether or not people actually want to go to work. That's the second question or the second argument or issue that we have here is, would it be actually fair if everyone got the same amount of money? So for example, let's say if a poor person made per month maybe only $2,000, let's say, and a rich person made, I don't know, let's say $15,000 per month, which is pretty good money, I would say, maybe more. And both people would get $1,000 more or $2,000 more. So it would definitely benefit the poor person more, but the rich person would basically have some extra pocket money, let's say. And the question is then, from a moral perspective, is that fair, really? Because from the poor person's perspective, he would say, well, why does the rich person need another $1,000 or $2 for what? The rich person, if then the government would decide that only poor people would get universal basic income, then the rich people are maybe going to complain and be like, well, why are we not treated equally? We also want the stimulus check. Like, why can't we benefit from that? So it becomes then very dichotic. It becomes very argumentative on both sides. And this is also another question that the politicians or the government overall, the economists have to solve and figure out, how do we make this equal, or how do we make this fair? Like, do the rich people not get money just because they make more? But then that kind of ruins the whole concept, because we said from the start that the universal basic income means that everyone gets the same amount of money per month, regardless of your wealth status, regardless of your background, regardless of your employment, etc., etc. So again, you have to kind of stay within the concept so that it functions, so that everyone is happy and satisfied and gets the same amount of money, essentially. So even the rich people then would get the $1,000 or $2. For them, that would be like $2 pocket money. For the poor people, that's going to be big money. So in the end, the poor people are probably going to benefit more. That's the second aspect of that universal basic income. The third one is definitely, what are the people going to do with that money? Now, you can argue for many people, you can argue from many different dimensions as to, well, a lot of poor people or a lot of, average income earners have debts to pay, they have bills to pay, they got to buy grocery food and things like that. Yeah, you're also going to argue that, and that's most likely the case as well. But then there are also a lot of people who like to shop, and since we live in a very consumerist society, in a very consumerist age, where we like to consume things, where we like to buy things online, it became very easily accessible to us all to just go to any random shop online, especially from home. You don't even need to go out the door and go get your stuff. You can just sit at home on your couch and be lazy and get your stuff from your laptop or computer. So those are some of the questions that we also have to ask, which is, what are the people going to do with the money? Because if you maybe remember, what was it, like 2-3 years ago, when the pandemic was still going on and the United States of America decided to give everyone $1,000, $2,000, I think it was like $1,200 worth of stimulus checks per person. The idea was to like alleviate the pain from the people who suffered from the pandemic. Well, first of all, $1,200 is that really going to do anything to the person in particular, especially considering that all the small businesses went down, and considering that a lot of people lost their jobs and a lot of people lost, other things throughout the pandemic years? Well, the idea, I guess, was with good intentions, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions, as the saying goes, right? So I think personally what the idea was that, well, because I don't really want to get into conspiracy theory really, but in short, I kind of feel like the people in politics, the politicians who have rich friends, they kind of made an agreement saying that, hey, let's give everyone some stimulus checks because a lot of people are now suffering financially. Let's give them some money so that they can buy some stupid stuff as well on Amazon, on all these other shops, on the big businesses, Microsoft, Apple, and stuff like that, so that we get the money in the end. So it kind of, in my opinion, this was kind of a fraud idea to kind of feed the big corporations in that sense. And I'm not a communist, I'm not a socialist, but I'm just kind of, I guess that's my interpretation of the idea of the whole stimulus checks, really, because it really makes no sense at all. And I don't see any other reason as to simply make people buy some more stuff so that it feeds the corporations even more. And so the idea was that to the public, to the average populace, was that, hey, we will give you some money, we will give you some support, some financial support. Here's your $1,000, $2,000, whatever dollars worth of stimulus checks, and you can do what you want. You can pay your bills, you can do your things. Look, I'm pretty sure people did that. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people did pay off their debts, and it's very important to keep your budget going. It's very important to make sure that you sustain your family and so on and so forth. But also, let's not forget about the other part of the society where people still like to, buy stuff because it makes them feel happy, it makes them feel good about themselves, and so on and so forth. So a lot of the money also went to simply big businesses, and it kind of created that fraud, that scheme. So the government gives the people the money, and the money goes right back to the government and the big businesses. So that's kind of how I see it. But you can argue with me, and you can state your point of view any way you like. That's just my interpretation of how the stimulus checks kind of worked in the United States. So overall, to just kind of conclude the entire philosophical question here that we talked about, whether it would work, whether the universal basic income would work. Honestly, I don't want to say that I'm neither for nor against it. I first want to try it out. I want to first see how it would work. I want to put it into trial. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, well, then we shouldn't use it, or we shouldn't pursue it. But just my first instinctual feelings, my first impressions of the UBI, I'm a little bit more skeptical towards it. If I had to really give my opinion on that, if people really ask me that. But I feel like in some ways there is no such thing as just free money, because nothing is free. And whenever I start hearing or seeing free things, then it always comes with some kind of cost. It always comes with some kind of sacrifice in some ways, and it will always be a little bit of an issue for everyone, no matter what. And if you want to talk about anti-poverty measures, well, we can take an example of Gavin Newsom from California, who tried to invest a lot of money apparently into homelessness, into homeless people, and homelessness just grew even more in California in the last 10 years. And I don't know, is that really an anti-poverty measure? I don't know about that, but you can definitely take a look at California. For example, you can take a look at what Gavin Newsom was trying to do, if he was even trying to do. We don't know that. Maybe it was a money laundering thing, maybe not, who knows. You can do your research. I highly encourage you to do your own research, because I'm not accurate 100% all the time, as you probably noticed. But overall, to say that UBI is good or bad, I can't really say that. I have to first see it. I have to first experience that. If some of you were part of any experiment related to the UBI, you can definitely let me know. I'm very curious to hear your experience, to hear your thoughts, your opinions on that. And overall, I think we covered most of the fundamental aspects of the UBI. If you have any questions or remarks or anything of that sort, you can of course leave a comment in the section down below. Make sure that you subscribe for more videos like those, like and share with your friends and loved ones. I hope you all have a good day today. See you in the next video.